Hey everyone, welcome back. We're going to be taking a deep dive into AI agents today.
Sounds pretty futuristic.
It does, right?
Yeah.
But it's becoming a lot more common, and we've all heard of AI by now, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like Power's like those website chatbots, but AI agents are like those chatbots, but way more powerful because they can do things,
Yeah, it's big step
not just answer questions.
from just information to AI taking action. And I mean, when you think about how much we rely on the internet and all these tools, it's a pretty big deal.
So I'm already interested, but I got to say this whole agent thing is giving me some serious like secret agent vibes.
Well, okay, maybe not that dramatic, but it is about using tools and information to accomplish tasks. So think of it like having a digital assistant that can not only search for information online, but then use that information to like book a flight or order your groceries or even write a report.
Okay, so I'm starting to get it. It's like I'm delegating to a super smart computer program. But how do they work? Do they have like tiny robot brains?
Not quite.
Okay, good.
They use these things called language models, and that's what powers the chatbots that everybody's familiar with, but this is like the next level up.
Yeah.
And one framework for understanding how they work is called Agno.
Agno.
Yeah, it's kind of like the blueprint for creating these agents.
So Agno is where I'd start if I wanted to like build my own superpowered digital assistant.
Exactly, and it makes the process way faster
Okay, cool.
and easier. It's got all these pre-built tools and features.
That makes sense. But before we get too far into all the technical stuff, can we like back up for a sec?
Yeah.
You mentioned something about levels of agency before, and I don't really know what that means.
Good point. So it's basically a way of ranking like how sophisticated an AI agent is.
Uh-huh.
The higher the level, the more it can do on its own.
So it's kind of like levels in a video game. You start at level 1, and then as you go up, you get more skills and abilities.
Yeah, exactly. So a level 0 agent might just be able to perform really simple tasks like basic math, but as you move up to like levels 1, 2, and 3, the agents can start using tools and knowledge and even memory to handle more complex stuff and even work together in teams.
Okay, so levels I get, but can you give me like a real world example? I'm still trying to wrap my head around like what these agents can actually do.
Sure. So there's an example in the Agno documentation called the research agent,
Oh,
and it's designed to act like an actual like research scientist.
whoa.
So you give it a topic,
Uh-huh.
and it goes out and scours the internet for information, analyzes everything, and then writes up a whole report for you with citations and everything.
That's wild. So like if I was working on some big project and I had to do a bunch of research, I could just hand that off to a research agent.
Yep, that's the idea.
Wow.
It's like having a research assistant that never sleeps.
That would be amazing.
And that's just one example. Agno lets you build agents for all kinds of different things, so it's super versatile.
So we've got these levels of agency, and we've got Agno that helps us build them. But there must be a ton of different tools and parts involved. What are some of the things that make Agno so powerful?
Oh, one of the biggest advantages of Agno is that it's what we call model agnostic. So you can use any language model you
Yeah.
want. You're not stuck with just one company's technology.
So it's like a universal remote for AI models.
Pretty much.
That's really cool.
Deadly.
What about the types of tasks these agents can do? Is it limited to text stuff like writing reports, or can they handle other types of data?
Great question. It's not limited to text at all. Agno is actually what we call multimodal, so it can work with images, audio, and even video, too.
So you could build an agent that analyzes pictures, transcribes audio, or even like edits video.
Exactly. The possibilities are huge.
That is a lot of possibilities.
Yeah.
Okay, so that opens up like a whole other world of stuff.
Yeah.
But you mentioned before that agents can learn and remember. How does that work?
That's where it gets really interesting. So Agno lets these agents use what are called knowledge stores and memory. So it's kind of like giving them access to a giant library
Yeah.
and the ability to remember things they've done before,
Okay.
which means they can get better over time. They can become more knowledgeable and efficient.
So they're not just like following instructions, they're actually learning as they go.
Right. And that's a big part of what makes them so powerful
It's kind of mind-blowing.
and potentially transformative.
Okay, so I think I'm starting to understand the basics of AI agents and this Agno framework. But we're just scratching the surface here, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned some other stuff before, like vector databases and workflows.
Yeah, for sure. There's a whole other level to Agno that we can dive into.
Okay.
And those features let you build really complex agents that can handle very specific tasks and even, like I said, work together.
Okay, I'm definitely hooked. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back to explore all of these more advanced Agno features in detail.
So welcome back. I'm excited to dig into these more advanced Agno features.
Yeah, me too.
Mhm.
It's like we've opened up this amazing toolbox, and we haven't even gotten to the really good stuff yet.
That's a great analogy. So let's start with vector databases.
Okay.
You can think of it like a library where the books aren't just sorted by topic, but also by like the meaning of the words and how those meanings are connected.
So it's not just keywords, it's like understanding the whole concept.
Exactly. And this lets AI agents search for information in a much more intelligent way.
Okay.
It's like being able to say, find me information related to this concept instead of just find me documents with these words.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the difference between doing a basic Google search and using some really powerful research database.
Yeah.
So how does this help us build better AI agents?
Well, let's go back to that research agent example.
Okay.
If it had access to a vector database, it wouldn't just be finding relevant articles, it would actually be understanding the connections between those articles and the research topic.
Oh, wow.
That would make the reports so much more in-depth and insightful.
So it's not just gathering information, it's like understanding it.
Right.
That's awesome. Okay, so what about workflows? You mentioned those before, too.
Yeah, so workflows are basically a way of laying out the steps that an agent needs to take to complete a task.
Okay.
It's like creating a flow chart or a recipe for the agent.
So instead of just saying, hey, go research this, I could give it a step-by-step guide, like first look for these types of sources,
Yeah.
then analyze all the data, and then write up a report.
Exactly. And workflows can get really complex. They can have multiple steps, decision points, even interactions with other agents or tools.
So you could have like a whole team of AI agents all working together on one big project.
That's right. It does sound kind of sci-fi.
It does.
But that's where all of this is heading. We're moving towards a world where AI agents can handle really complex tasks working on their own or together to achieve some goal.
Okay, this is all pretty mind-blowing, but before we move on, I have one more question. You've talked a lot about how powerful these agents can be. Are there any limitations? I mean, can they really learn and adapt to anything?
That's a great question, and it's important to remember that as amazing as they are, they're still bound by the data that they're trained on and the algorithms that they use.
So they're not like magically going to solve every problem or become self-aware like in the movies?
Not yet, at least.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
But even with those limitations, it sounds like there's a ton of potential here.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And as the technology keeps developing, those limitations are just going to keep shrinking.
So we're talking about a technology that's still in its early stages,
Yeah.
but already doing some pretty incredible stuff.
Absolutely. And it's important to remember that they're tools.
Right.
And it's up to us, the humans, to make sure they're being used responsibly and ethically.
That's a good point. It's like with any powerful technology, it matters how we use it.
Yeah.
But I got to say, I'm still a little intimidated by all this talk about AI agents and vector databases and complex workflows. It seems really technical.
I get it. It can seem like a lot at first. But you don't have to be a programmer to understand this stuff or even to use it.
So even someone like me who's more comfortable with words than code could still benefit from using AI agents.
Absolutely. Think about all those things you do every day that feel tedious and time-consuming, like going through emails or scheduling meetings or even just doing research.
Yeah.
These are all things that AI agents could help you with.
Okay, yeah. When you put it that way, it
Right.
does seem a lot less intimidating and a lot more exciting.
Okay.
It's like having a bunch of helpers working behind the scenes to make my life easier.
Exactly. And as this technology gets easier to use, we're going to see them become more and more common in our everyday lives.
So it's not just businesses and developers, it's something that could help everyone.
Right. It's about giving people the power to do more, achieve more, and live better lives.
I like that. So you mentioned before that AI agents could also be used to boost our own creativity. Can we talk about that for a minute?
Sure.
Okay, so we've talked about how AI agents can be these like super efficient assistants, but what about the creativity thing? How can they actually make us more creative? That seems kind of weird.
It might seem counterintuitive, but think about it this way. What usually blocks our creativity is all that boring, repetitive stuff we have to do that just drains our time and energy.
You mean like all the emails and meetings and stuff?
Exactly. All those things that feel like they're sucking the life out of you. So imagine if you could just hand all of that off to an AI agent.
Oh, no.
Then you'd have so much more mental space and freedom to focus on the stuff that actually gets your imagination going.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's like decluttering your mind to make room for creative ideas.
Exactly. But it's more than just freeing up time. AI agents can also be like creative partners.
Really?
Yeah, imagine an agent that can analyze tons of data like music or art or writing and then come up with new ideas or variations based on the patterns it sees.
So it's like having an AI brainstorming buddy.
That's one way to think about it.
Wow.
Or imagine an agent that helps you get past writer's block by suggesting different storylines or characters or dialogue.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Instead of getting stuck, you've got this AI partner pushing you in new directions.
Right. It could be super helpful for anyone doing creative work, writers, artists, musicians, you name it.
Okay. You've convinced me that AI agents could be these awesome creative partners. But are there any downsides? Like, what about originality? If an AI is generating ideas, are they really original or is it just copying stuff?
That's a good point. And it's important to remember that AI agents are still machines. They learn from the data we give them, and they operate within the rules that we set for them.
So they're only as original as the data in the algorithms.
In a way, yes, but human creativity also builds on existing ideas.
True. We all get inspiration from the world around us, whether we realize it or not.
Right, so maybe it's better to think of AI agents as just another source of inspiration, another tool in the creative toolbox.
Okay, that makes sense. It's not about replacing human creativity, but more like giving it a boost.
Exactly, giving us new ways to explore ideas and express
I
ourselves.
love that. So as we wrap up our deep dive into AI agents, what are some of the key things you hope people will take away from this?
I hope they'll come away with a sense of just how powerful and transformative this technology can be. AI agents are not just some sci-fi fantasy. They're becoming a reality, and they have the potential to change the way we work, learn, create, and even interact with the world.
And it's not just for big tech companies or developers. It's something that can benefit everyone.
Right, from busy professionals to artists to anyone who wants to simplify their lives and explore new things.
Absolutely. And for those of you who are ready to learn more about the practical side of all of this, we encourage you to check out our friends at Shogini. They specialize in AI chatbot development and consulting, and they can help you figure out how to use this technology for your specific needs. You can find them online at https://www.shogini.com.
And remember, the journey of discovery and innovation never really ends. The more we learn about AI, the more we realize how much potential it has to change our world in amazing ways.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of AI agents. We hope you found it informative and inspiring and maybe even a little mind-blowing. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep imagining the possibilities.